We are coming off a winning Thursday night, and now it's on to Sunday. Let's talk some more football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we are back to talk a little pigskin again. But how about that Thursday night game as the Bengals upset the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-31? And for our bets, here's a nice profitable 2-in-1 day. We will absolutely take that. Should have been a 3-0 sweep, but we'll go over that recap in just a little bit. And now, quick reminders, there will be no MLB Best Bets video. If you're watching this on Thursday or Friday morning, we're not going to have one for the Friday slate. I will still drop bets in the usual places. But the NFL Week 7 player props and anytime touchdowns video, that will be out Friday like usual. So, as you guys know, we talked about it before. The website is officially live, just at betoutside.com. It's where I post my bets first. That's exactly where they go before we do all the recording and editing and all that. But if you guys just want to join the community tab, tail people, and things like that, and see my bets, it's completely free. But we also offer premium betting tools, and this is what I wanted. I want to make sure we had a website that helped you guys out when you joined it. You get end-of-year tax help, instant results, feedbacks on all your bets, on what you've placed, whether it's plus money bets, this sports book, things like that. You get access to 250 plus sports books, and then we got more coming soon. So if you want to use the premium betting tools, it's $9.99 a month. Really helps support the channel and also helps you as a bettor. But if you want one free month, use the coupon code JABOLAUNCH to get that. But let's get it rolling, and that means it is time for a little dad joke. Here we go. What do you call a nun who sleepwalks? A Roman Catholic. In this video, we're going to recap Thursday night, and then we're going to go over the Week 7 trends, and then I'll give you my Week 7 leans before we get into the best bets for the weekend, and then, of course, we'll finish it up with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Come join this awesome community. We got a lot to get into, so let's get it rolling, and that starts with the recap. All right, there it is. A nice 2-in-1 day on Thursday night. Jamar Chase, 70-plus receiving yards. I mentioned a ladder. I wish I did the ladder. He absolutely dominated today. Just an easy cash. And then the other Chase brother, Brown, under 13.5 rush attempts. They were ahead a decent amount of this game, which they never usually are. They were in a running spot. He was actually running all over Pittsburgh, and he still just ended with 10 rush attempts. Joe Flacco was throwing the ball all over the field, and I loved it. And then Darnell Washington, guys, it's almost humorous. I'm not sure. The two other tight ends went over 18.5 receiving yards. Jonnu Smith was the main guy at the beginning. Then it turned into Pat Freiermuth. And then in the fourth quarter, they realized, you know what, maybe we should get Darnell Washington going. They threw it to him. He lost 8 yards. 1 catch, -8 yards. And then he gets back into the positive. He ends with 3 catches for 2 yards. And he would have cashed in that last drive for Pittsburgh, but Aaron Rodgers overthrew him, and he had a lot of room to go. Easy cash, 3-0 sweep, but again, you need a quarterback to throw it to him. So it happens. We'll take the 2-in-1 day every single day. 51-45 on the season, up pretty much 1 unit as we speak. So that's what we got for Thursday Night Football recap. Now let's talk some trends. All right, sit back and relax because we got some trends to go over for Week 7. In the last decade, there have been 22 coaches fired or resigned in season. They went 10-12 straight up, 11-11 against the spread. The next game, that is obviously referring to Callahan getting fired, and that is with the Tennessee Titans. After a 2-6 against the spread, Week 6 for the public, teams with 60% or more of tickets now this year, 15-36 against the spread. Absolutely horrendous. Another bad week last week. 70% or more tickets are 4-16 against the spread. If the public loves it and it's getting pounded, you probably want to fade it right now. The Panthers' last cover as a favorite was in September of 2021. That is absolutely insane. Underdogs are now 12-9-1 straight up and 15-7 against the spread in night games this season. That's the first time through 6 weeks where underdogs are over 500 straight up in primetime since 2002. And we just saw another underdog, the Bengals, obviously win. As a favorite of over a touchdown since 2020, Mahomes is 36-2 straight up, but against the spread, just 13-24-1. That ATS mark makes him the least profitable quarterback of 48 qualified quarterbacks when it comes to being a favorite of over a touchdown. Interesting. Cleveland hasn't scored 18 or more points in 11 straight. That's no bueno. 5th longest streak since 1990. If Dallas and Washington close at 54 or higher, which it looks like it will, it would be the highest total of the season. That should help you, right? It means nothing. Just want to point it out. Daniel Jones, 4-0 straight up as a favorite this season. Bears are 5-0 to their team total over this year, the only undefeated over team total team. You got all that? The over, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, page 1, there we go. Let's move on to page 2 now. Teams who trail at halftime, if you just blindly bet them against the second half spread, you're making some moolah. 53-34 against the second half spread. McVay has coached 2 games overseas. He is 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread, winning by a combined score of 57-10, covering the spread by 16 points per game. Jags, by the way, have played a ton of games overseas. It's like their second home, 7-6 ATS. Favorites 38-14 straight up and 33-20 against the spread in international games. Rams will also be the 14th favorite to play an international game after a true road game. Those teams 13-1 straight up and 11-3 against the spread overseas. So if you just had a road game and now you're going overseas in an international game, you have succeeded. That's for sure. Caleb Williams, the only quarterback to be 0-4 straight up or worse on short rest in the last 2 seasons. In his defense, they were just all awful last year. But since the start of 2021, the Browns are 6-19 against the spread, the second worst behind the Tennessee Titans. And then the Chiefs have lost 3 straight against the spread versus the Raiders, first time since 2011 and 12. And then since 2015, teams that start 4-0 or better and then lose 2 straight are 9-4 straight up, 7-5-1 against the spread in their next game, and 10-3 to the under. So that is, I believe, Philly and also Arizona there. Sirianni is 65th out of 67 head coaches against the spread, coming off a straight-up loss since 2021. He is 7-14 ATS. Panthers 7-1 ATS in their last 8 home games. How about that? Big home field advantage there in Carolina. But that's what we got for page 2. Now let's move on to the final page. Since 2003, Sean Payton, the head coach of the Broncos, 22-8 against the spread after his team scored 14 or less points. That is number 1 in the NFL. What a stat that is, huh? Denver and the Jets will be 29th and 30th teams to play on 7 or less days of rest coming off an international game. Pretty much, you don't get a bye after an international game. Those teams are 18-10 straight up and 16-12 against the spread. Chargers have lost 3 consecutive against the spread. Jim Harbaugh has never, ever lost 4 straight ATS. Daniel Jones, just a random stat here, 37 for 56 passing while under pressure. That's 66.1% completion percentage, number 1 in the NFL, including 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in that. And then Dak Prescott, 10-3 against the spread versus the Commanders in his career. That is the best against the spread quarterback versus Washington in the last 20 years. LaFleur and Green Bay, 16-2 straight up, 10-8 against the spread versus backup quarterbacks. That's only if Jacoby Brissett starts. Obviously, that matters. But Kyler Murray right now is questionable. Jordan Love, 0-6 straight up, on the road when he scores fewer than 20 points. When they score fewer than 20 points. Since 2023, the 49ers are the second worst home ATS team in the NFL, 7-14 against the spread. That's not pretty. But anyways, hopefully that helps you out some way or another. But that's what we got for the Week 7 trends. Now, let's talk some leans. All right, let's talk a few leans before we get into the best bets. And again, one of these may make the card still, but the first one is the Commanders at the Cowboys. It's Commanders team total over 27.5. How do you not look at a team total whenever they face the Dallas Cowboys? Commanders are only over this line, only over this 27.5 one time this season, but they have scored exactly 27 twice. If they can get McLaurin back, obviously that would be huge here. I know Debo's questionable as well, but the big reason for this over is obviously Dallas's defense. Here's what opponents have scored versus them. Panthers, 30. Yes, the Carolina Panthers. Jets, 22. They're awful. Packers, 40. Bears, 31. Giants, 37. They have given up 30-plus points to Carolina, Green Bay, Chicago, and the Giants. They get no pressure on the quarterback. They have injuries everywhere. Commanders coming off a tough loss. I think the offense bounces back here, probably scores 30-plus points. They had 3 costly turnovers last week that really killed their point total, in case you're looking at why they didn't score even more. But other than that, I think the Commanders put up a ton of points. This game has a 55.5 total or something. So I think both teams can score, but I like the Commanders team total. Second one, Vikings money line. This one is scary because it looks like J.J. McCarthy is back. The spot is so much better for Minnesota here. The Eagles just lost to their division rival Giants. They play the Giants again next week. Who did that scheduling? Vikings coming in off a bye. So obviously Minnesota, big advantage here. Eagles just flat out struggling right now. The run game is not, I wouldn't say non-existent, but it's just not as good as last year. Quinyon Mitchell may not play here. Not good when you're facing Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, 2 of the better receivers that they've actually faced recently. But with them relying more on Hurts, we're seeing this team struggle to put up points, move the ball. Now facing a Flores defense that's healthier after the bye now. They have excellent home field advantage. I think they got a good game plan here out of the bye. I just, if you're going to bet this, you need JJ to limit his mistakes and play good football. So right now it's a lean, but I like the Vikings there. The third one, this is probably surprisingly my favorite lean. I don't know. I do like the Commanders one, but Cardinals +7. Kyler's questionable, but Brissett looked just fine, if not better, last week. And maybe he comes out and puts up a dud this time. But here's the deal with the Cardinals. They have lost 4 straight after starting 2-0, like we talked about. But they are keeping every single game close. They're just that team that does. They have 4 losses. Their losses by 1, 3, 1, and 4 points. That's insane to me. So never lost by more than 4. Packers, Josh Jacobs questionable with an illness. 2 offensive linemen, Banks and Morgan, are questionable. The pass rush is solid, but this secondary is struggling. To be honest with you, we knew there was going to be a weakness before the season, and it showed its ugly head. So this isn't a team that crushes people. They tied the Cowboys. Think about that. Tied the Cowboys. Lost to the Browns by 3. Let the Bengals get back in a little bit in the second half. That was, again, Joe Flacco's Cincinnati debut, just coming over to the team. They won by 9 in that one. Arizona's proved all season long they can hang with anyone. They just have struggled to find a way to win. And again, one of those was an absolute meltdown against the Titans a couple weeks ago. But getting a full 7 points here for a Packers team that, I don't know if they can really just truly run away with it. As long as Brissett or Kyler, whoever it is, can take care of the ball and has at least a decent enough time to get something done. But either way, I like the Cardinals +7 as my third lean. So that's what I got for the leans and the trends. Now it is time for the best bets. All right, before we get to the best bets, it is time for the KALSHI trade of the day. That's right, guys. If you are not on this website, I'm telling you, you are missing out. It is a ton of fun. It's like stocks, buying and selling contracts. You're betting on things in the world that interest you, really. It's what it's all about. You got movies, music, sports, climate. I mean, whatever it is you want, it's out there. So we have a ton of fun with this one. We're going to have a KALSHI trade of the day. And by the way, the link is below in the description if you want to join. Once you sign up, you deposit your $100. Or if you can deposit $100, then you have a $20 bonus credit added to it. But again, me and Ryan use this all the time. So here is our KALSHI trade of the day. We're going to the NBA. That's right. We are starting that next week. We're going to give a little sneak peek into one of my futures here. But we're going to go win totals, and then we're going to go to the Miami Heat. That's right. How about that, huh? So Miami wins this year. Now, my future bet I'm going to give out on a video next week. It's going to be a little bit different because KALSHI here just does 30, 35 plus, 40 plus, 45. But here, we're going to take 40-plus wins for the Miami Heat. And just a sneak peek real quick, they added Norman Powell, if you guys don't know, 38-plus wins in 9 of their last 10 seasons now. They had to deal with that Jimmy Butler, debacle and drama in the middle of last year. So I expect some improvement from guys like Ware and Jovic and things like that. So I think they have a pretty decent year. Obviously, we're just needing 40. We're not asking them to win the title or anything. So we're going to do that. I'm going to throw $3 on it. And we're going to go from there. But anyways, just wanted to kind of show you what KALSHI is all about. That is my KALSHI trade of the day for today. And now it's time for the best bets. All right, this first one takes us out to Denver, Colorado, where the Broncos host the New York Gigantes. Broncos -7. Total in this one is 39.5. Give me the Broncos -7 for a half unit, -110 on DraftKings. Almost made this 1 unit. I've been pretty good this year with fading teams in a flat spot. We did it fading the Giants a couple weeks ago. I took the Saints money line. I know people thought I was absolutely nuts in the comments under that video, but then we did it again last week. The Jaguars coming off a big win against the Chiefs. Seahawks come to town. We take Seahawks money line, and they cruise there. So let's do it again, fading the Giants here. So let's talk the scheduling spot. It's super weird. We just talked about in the leans. They're coming off a big win versus the Eagles. It's like a Super Bowl win for them. And guess what? They play the Eagles again next week, like we just mentioned. So sandwiched in between there, they go to Denver. This is as flat of a spot as you can see, as you can have here between 2 Eagles games. And plus, it is going to be against the number 1 or top 3, top 5 in that range of defenses in the NFL. Giants with Dart have only played 1 road game. What'd they do? 26-14 loss against the Saints. He threw 2 interceptions, had a 73 quarterback rating. This is only his second start in the NFL, and now it is against a top 3 defense. This is going to be a challenge for him. Broncos coming off a sloppy game overseas. They won, but it really just was not pretty. You saw the stat about what Sean Payton does after their team scores, 14 or less points, but no bye. They're traveling back, but you saw in the trends, those teams are 16-12 ATS coming overseas without a bye, so I'm not too worried there. But this defense has an elite pass rush, and I mean elite. Number 1 in pressure rate at almost 34%. The more insane stat, Broncos 30 sacks this season. Next closest team has 20. They are going to make life very, very hard on Mr. Dart. I expect them to create some turnovers here. Denver has also allowed the 8th fewest rush yards per attempt. Giants, they like I said, they just won their Super Bowl versus the Eagles. This is still a team that just lost to the Saints. They lost to the Cowboys earlier this year. I know Jackson Dart's playing now, but they had a close win at home versus a severely banged up Chargers team. You can say that's decent, decent enough for them. But as you can see, the Chargers are reeling right now. They're a team that barely beat the Dolphins last week. But Giants defense. This defense is the opposite of the Broncos. They can't get to the quarterback or stop the run, giving up the fourth most rush yards per attempt at 5.1, ninth lowest quarterback pressure rate. So overall, it's a tough matchup for New York in general, especially Jackson Dart in his second road game. Already struggled in first road game. Now he has to go face Denver, which is not easy. On top of being a terrible scheduling spot, I think Dobbins and these guys have a good game on the ground. I don't see the Giants doing much offensively. I think they cruise to an easy win. I know trusting Bo Nix and that offense can sometimes be a little scary, but I think the defense puts them in some good positions to score. Also, maybe get a score of their own on defense. But give me the Broncos -7 as my first best bet. All right, here we go. I'm stubborn. I'm going back to an alt team total parlay. We lost it last week. I need my revenge. Here we go. Dolphins team total under 23.5. Colts team total over 19.5. -121 on DraftKings. This is a 1-unit play for me. I really like this one. So first, let's start with the Dolphins team total under 23.5. Their team total is set around 16.5, 17.5. So there's a reason for it. Let's start with the weather. It's going to be awful. Wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour, 94% chance of rain. It's going to lead to a lot of rushing attempts, and both quarterbacks struggling to throw the ball. Kicker's going to struggle to make field goals, which is huge as well. On top of that, this Dolphins offense struggles on the road away from the heat. Usually in their last 10 road games, dating back to last year, gone under 23.5 points in 8 of 10 games, averaging just 18.2 points per game. Tua is someone who not only struggles on the road sometimes, he struggles versus good defenses. Now he faces the Browns' top 3 defense here on the road. The Browns are a defense last year, #1 at home defense, and they struggled on the road. It's kind of going to that this year again. The Browns have been way better at home, and here they are at home again. They've allowed the fewest rush yards per attempt. Tua cannot rely on a good running game. Achane is not going to do much here. I'm just going to be honest. Maybe in the passing game, but he's not going to do much in the running game. Brown's also one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. This Dolphins O-line may be the worst in the NFL. They are absolutely atrocious. Tua doesn't have his big playmaker, obviously, in Tyreek Hill anymore. I honestly don't think the Dolphins score more than 17 points. Wouldn't be surprised if they just get shut out. That's asking a lot. But either way, I like the Dolphins team total under 23.5 here as the first leg. Second one, Colts team total over 19.5. If you don't know, Indy has one of the best offenses in the league. As you can see by this outlier screenshot, over 19.5 points in all 6 games. Easy. The lowest score was 20. But guess what? That was when Adonai Mitchell just dropped the ball with no one around him crossing the goal line, if you guys remember that crazy play. So you could really say they scored 27. They played well enough to score 27. They're averaging 32.33 points per game. 32.33. I just need 20. Indy's offense, very well balanced. Jonathan Taylor with just crushing it on the ground. They have a great running game right now. It's setting up play action with Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, like we talked about earlier, has been excellent under pressure as well, so that hasn't been a problem. It's a very well-balanced attack. Facing the Chargers defense, man, have they been struggling lately. They may be without Derwin James here, which is a huge loss. The last 4 weeks, Chargers gave up 27 to the Dolphins, 27 to the Commanders, 21 to the Giants, 20 to the Broncos. They've now given up 20-plus in 4 straight, obviously. Their run defense has been awful. They gave up 128 rush yards to Achane last week. How about 14 carries for 111 to Krosky Merritt the week before? It's brutal. Now they have to sell out to stop Taylor, who happens to be averaging 5.2 yards per attempt this season. It's going to set up Jones in that passing game very nicely. I like the Dolphins team total under 23.5 and the Colts team total over 19.5 as my second best bet. All right, this next one takes us out to London, where the Jags host the LA Rams. Rams -3. Total in this one is 44.5. I made a rule to not bet these games anymore, and I'm breaking it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm probably going to regret it by the time I have breakfast in the morning on Sunday because this game is early for me. But give me the Rams team total under 24.5 at -125 on DraftKings. Half-unit play for me here. Hopefully it doesn't let me down. These international games can be weird, but I'm also betting a team that has given me some bad beats with the Rams. They lost that team total under last week or the week before, had a field goal blocked at the end of the game, and returned to lose the +4 against the Eagles. So let's fade them. So let's talk to Rams offense. One big reason I like it, no Puka Nacua. He is likely out for this game. Top 3 wide receiver in the league. He is absolutely everything. If there is a receiver that's the MVP for a team, it is Puka Nacua. Another reason I like it, I continue to see the Rams struggle in the red zone. 9th lowest touchdown percentage in the red zone at 50%. They also have the 5th most yards per game overall, but just the 16th most points. Just to tell you, they are struggling to finish drives right now. It's going to be much harder without Puka. which is obviously Stafford's #1 go-to guy that makes plays down the field constantly. Rams are under this line in 3 of 6 games overall this year already, and now they have to travel to London and face this Jags defense. Now, Darnold lit them up last week, but you know what? It was a massive flat spot. We talked about it, and the Darnold in this passing attack has been electric, especially on the road. But Jags defense this season tied for giving up the 7th fewest points per game in the NFL, just 20 points per game allowed. London, obviously, their second home. They come here all the time. They've played I think it was 13 games overseas already. Nothing new for them. But the other big reason I like it, Jags have been solid defensively in the red zone. They've allowed the 8th lowest touchdown percentage in the red zone. Makes it even tougher for this struggling Rams red zone offense. Jags have also been decent at stopping the run as well. So I like the full game under. I looked at that as well. But I see a lot of running, a lot of clock movement here. The weather also typical London rain, cooler temps. I think it's slightly covered the stadium. I'm not even sure exactly, but I don't believe it's a dome or anything like that. So, but without Puka, this number is just a bit too high. I mean, over 24.5, you're pretty much asking a team to score 27. That's kind of the next key number. So I think it's a lot. So give me the Rams team total under 24.5. That is my third and final best bet. Again, the player props, anytime touchdowns will be out in the video on Friday. If I have any added game bets, those will be in the pinned comments below. But before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. The 3 best bets so far. Give me the Broncos -7 for a half unit. The all-team total parlay, 1 unit play. Dolphins team total under 23.5. And the Colts team total over 19.5. And then we finish it with the game in London. Rams team total under 24.5, -125 for a half unit. Again, any added plays will be in the pinned comments below. The NFL player props and anytime touchdowns video will be out Friday. But thank you guys for watching and all the support. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. And we'll talk to you soon.